Welcome to the Reverberations podcast, where we explore the human experience and the journey of self-discovery. What's good, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Reverberations. This is your host, John Stuart. I have a wonderful guest today, Sia Jifas, who is a dear friend of mine. Her and her husband, Chris, I've been going to their salon, the Hive, here in Wisconsin, in Brookfield, Wisconsin, for the past 10 years. And we've built a beautiful friendship over the years and have had such incredible conversations. We've gotten to know each other's families and had family events together. They're just such a wonderful couple that has been such an integral part of my life. And we've been talking about podcasts and initiating one on our own. I was like, hey, you know what? I think we got to get you on here and let's have a conversation, because one of the things that I've always known to be true is that in the salon, it's almost like a therapy session. And Sia has been so gracious to take a part of her day today to share what her experience is behind the chair and what she hears on a daily basis and what they are up to here in the local community and beyond. So Sia, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm really excited. So yay.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Super excited. Been looking forward to this. We've been talking about it for a while, right?
I know we have. We've been touching back and forth throughout the salon. Like, let's do this. When are we going to do this? We should do this.
Yeah. And here we are. So we're making it happen. Thank goodness. About time. So, yeah, well, thank you for coming on. And why don't you just share a little bit about yourself, being an entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, how you navigate all of this, as well as your thoughts, what we've talked about, you're guesting on some podcast and looking of how you could be of service and possibly starting your own podcast. So just share a little bit about what's going on with you, Sia.
Yeah. So Chris and I have been together about 25 years. Married 21 years. We have two kids, junior in college, studying radiology. We've got a junior in high school. We been working together in the same setting, living together, driving together to work, working together, coming home together for, oh my gosh, I want to say almost 11 years now. So we used to work at different salons. And after a while, we were like, let's see if we can work together, live together. Can we do this? Because if we can't, then trying to open our own would just be chaotic. So Chris was out in Mequon. I was out in Brookfield. And we kind of met in the middle. We met like in Tosa. Okay. So after a good about 4 years, we figured, all right, we can do this. So we did. We ventured off onto our own, and that's how we got Hive.
That's so awesome. So how was that? I mean, you guys, you had your own, separate ventures that were going on, and then you decided you're together, you're with each other, and then you decided to go into business together. So, that's a different dynamic from being a couple and then going into business. Can you share a little bit about how that journey was?
Well, it was a little difficult in the beginning just because we each have our separate clientele.
Right.
Some are a little bit more vocal while the others are less vocal. So how we had it set up is I was more towards the front of the salon when we were working together at the mutual salon, and he was towards the back, kind of like a way to introduce the fact that now we are both working in the same environment.
Love that.
And so once we were able to establish that, because in the hair business and in any business, whether you're an esthetician or a nail tech, and you're working with the public, a lot of information comes out and not everybody wants to know your information until they're comfortable with it. So once our clientele got used to the fact that, okay, husband and wife are working together, he does the husband's wife, I do the wife's hair. So things did seem to balance out really well. And we kind of just learned how to roll with the flow on how everything went.
That's awesome. Because one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, it's one thing being in a relationship, right? You guys are literally with each other from, the morning through the evening, all day, every day. So do you have anything that you have learned as far as of working together? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked? Living with each other, creating a family, and also having a highly successful business?
I'm sure you've heard the saying, there's two people in a relationship, the crazy one and the boring one. I'm not saying that Chris is crazy, but he's the more fun. So he tends to break the ice faster than I would. I'm a little bit more the boring one where I talk about, little things, and he's like in there, out there, he'll bring up any topic. And so it gets the laughter going. It gets the thought process going with the clients, and it's fun. It doesn't feel like work.
Right.
It's like coffee hour.
I love that.
Your friends are coming, and now you get to have your coffee hour. You get to help them along the process of making them feel good with whether they're getting a haircut or just getting their hair dyed, or even if they're coming to the salon to get their nails done. It's coffee hour. It's great.
I love that. You're inviting people into your space, you're having a conversation, and you just so happen to be providing a service to make them feel better about themselves when they leave.
Exactly.
That's really awesome. Did I ever tell you how I found out about you guys?
No.
I looked at the reviews, it was just, it was so funny. So they were like, if you want that type of experience where you want an authentic experience and you don't worry about the F-bomb coming out, then this is your place. And I was like, holy shit, this is my place. like that's what I want,
I didn't realize there was a review online that said that.
Yeah. That was 10 years ago. It was on Yelp. Show up being yourself. What more can you ask for in that environment? And then when I came in, that's exactly what it was. Both of you were, I'll never forget it. You were sitting over in your chair on the right, and Chris was, cutting someone. And then he looked over at me. He's like, "You want something to drink?" And I was like, "Oh."
And that's how the relationship started later.
And there's my guy, Chris. One of the most amazing men that I know. What's up, Chris? How's it going, man?
He's joining in with us today.
I'm just listening to you two talk.
Well, it's usually you and I talking and Sia listening to us talk.
Yeah, I know.
He's feeling a little left out. He wanted to come join us today.
Thank God.
Yeah.
You got to make your cameo, man.
Yeah, what's going on?
We're just sitting here talking about how I came to come to the Hive and just the warm welcome that I had when you asked me for a drink. And you're like, "What do you fucking want?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
loaded question.
Right,
what do you want?
Yeah.
I want it all.
Want it all. And that's how it began. It was just, it was amazing. And I felt welcome. And here we are 10 years later. And, as you invited me to, your family outings, to anniversaries, to see his 40th birthday party, to, all of these things. Graduation, absolutely, and it's like, that's what it's all about.
At the end of the day, you've become a member of the salon. You're a family member of the salon. You're not just a client at that point.
I think
we established these relationships with them, and you don't feel like just another person walking in.
I think when somebody spills their guts, you know what I mean, and you hear their issues and you hear their scenarios and what's going on in their lives, I think
they become part of a family.
You basically cross that threshold from friend or like client to, you know what I mean, client to friend, or
There's a vulnerability that's there. And
absolutely.
And you guys provide that, openness to where it's like, I feel like when I walk in there, I can talk about anything. There's no topic that's off the limit. And, it's not like,
we
absolutely
want you to feel comfortable. Like, this is a no judgment zone. If you need to say something, just say it. It's okay. No one's going to judge you on it.
You guys are literally in the business of making people feel better about themselves. Shoot, when I go in, my hair is all shaggy and, this, that, and the other. And when I come out of there, I feel like a brand new person. And then the conversations that I have there are a part of that as well. That's what keeps me coming back.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, in today's world, it's, we hear a lot of issues, right? on a daily basis. And, I listen to your podcast too. And you asked me a question before on how we work together. You know what I mean? As obviously having children, being married, constantly being with each other. It in the beginning, it was difficult, but I think as you get older, you just learn things, and we learn from clients and they learn from us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's an adjustment, you know what I mean? Because when you come in and people are sitting down in your chair and they're talking about life and they're talking about their problems and they're talking about their children, like I said before, you learn from them and vice versa,
Yeah.
To reciprocate.
So, talking on that, because that's a great point. And one of the things that I wanted to ask too is that I'm sure you hear all kinds of stories from your clients.
Absolutely.
The things that are going on globally and locally are probably at the forefront. But what topic stories do you hear most about?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question.
Do we have all day? Do we have a series?
I know, right? I think we'd go like a long time with this one. Various topics come up. The most are obviously family, marriages, kids, just issues on depression, issues on anxiety, issues on.
Do you feel that's common? Like
it is, and it isn't, and
I think it's getting worse.
I think it's gotten worse throughout the years, and it's funny because, and I'll explain why I'm saying this. Last week, I had my client in the chair. Chris had one of his clients in the chair, and somehow we got on the subject of a psychology degree. And I looked back and I'm thinking to myself, they never forewarned us in school the amount of information that people really put on you. And it's like all that energy. And it's like, you don't know, you have to actually learn how to work through it besides trying not to bring everybody else's problems home. And I'm like, at some point they should have had us take a little psychology class in the process.
For sure.
It's so difficult to answer so many people's questions. And you have to, like Chris says all the time, you have to look at your audience. How are you going to answer them? And it's like, okay, I can't say to her, snap out of it. She's not going to take it the right way. So I have to process how I'm going to speak, how I'm going to say it. How is it going to come out? Is she going to be offended? So it can be challenging. And when, situations arise with children and they're like, well, I don't know what to do. What would you do? And I'm like, oh, I would tell you what I've done in the past, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Well, what have you done? Again, it's like, you can't look at my situation because my life with my children is very different.
It's a really good point is that, your clients are sitting there and they're dropping a lot on you, right? They're sharing a lot of their life stories, their personal matters, and then they turn to you and, looking to you for insight or advice. And then it's like, holy cow, in school, they teach you all the ways to be able to do the practical part of your job. However, that's a really good point is I think that would be so advantageous for the people that are behind the chair to have some of that there to be able to navigate the issues that do come forward, or at least be able to, like you said, not take them home, to learn not how to take them on. How do you deal with that? What are some of the things?
What's funny too is what I've noticed is I hired a couple of new people. They just got out of school. And what I'm noticing with this younger generation today is the communication, the lack thereof.
That wasn't the question.
Do you know what I mean? No, but I'm going to get to a point. I'm going to get to a point right now. You asked how we, discuss things with our clients and how we, we listen to things every day. This younger generation, I think they're so phone bound. Right? Like everything is on their phone. And I think we've lost the art of communication and empathy with the client, right?
Yeah.
That realness, right? Because when you first came to me, you said the same thing. You liked the fact that I said, hey, what do you want to drink?
Yeah,
right?
You're real.
So, and you had that feeling of, okay, wow, this is kind of nice. Somebody is actually asking me, how I feel, what I want, right?
Yeah.
And this new generation, I'm just seeing a big like disconnect with communication.
So
right?
do you have conversations with them and say, hey, they might not have taught this to you in school, but this is what goes on behind the chair and what we're seeing in the chair, and kind of train them in a way to be able to have that connection, to be able to have that conversation with them,
Here's the thing, and I feel like with the new people that so there's you'll have the kid that really knows how to cut hair for that person,
right?
But their communication skills lack. And it's like, then I have to sit back and I got to, pull them off to the side when they're done. And I'm like, you've got to make an impression. It's not only the hair that matters. It's making this person feel welcome and wanted. And
absolutely.
You being an ear, right? Listening to issues and stuff like that. Not necessarily solving the issue, but just them releasing it.
Yes. Being a soft place to land.
But there's a flip side to that coin. And I think you and I had discussed this prior. And that's something that is very difficult to, I think, when was it? Maybe about a year ago, you and I were discussing, I had a little bit of an anxiety issue for the simple fact that all this information is getting like tossed on my shoulder. So I listen a lot, right? And not necessarily trying to solve the issue, but maybe I might have a client that is going through a particular scenario or something that, the person in my chair is going through, and I can relate a message, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, as the person behind the chair, I don't have an outlet.
Right.
That was his question.
Right. But I'm just getting to that right now. So I don't have that outlet. Like, so how do I basically release the anxiety that I have? Right. Because I don't want to bring it into my home. I don't want to bring it onto my wife. I don't want to.
Especially if there's two of you there that are taking this on, how have you guys managed that together?
Totally. So with me, like we talked about meditation and stuff like that. Like I'm into I'm a very religious guy. I tend to sit down and I read and that sort of just eases my anxiety. That's my help.
How about for you, Sia? Have you found like certain practices or things that you can do that kind of ease the tension and release any of the weight that you take on for, energetically from the clients that are in your chair?
Yeah, I found exercise works a lot for me.
Yeah.
Because you obviously know my life story. So I'm not just, it's not just about the salon with me. I am a mom first, and then I'm a stylist, but I'm also I take care of my father-in-law and all his medical things. So I literally I feel like Gumby.
Right.
I get, I'm constantly being pulled in numerous directions. So my outlet for myself to keep myself sane is working out. And if it's 15 minutes on a bike or, walking the dog for, 25 minutes to an hour, actually being able to hit the gym, that's my outlet. Like even on Saturday, Chris was like, just go on the bike for a little bit. He's like, I think you just need to decompress. He's like, you're getting all worked up again. And I was like, you know what, you're probably right. And I did. And I went on the Peloton, I did a 20-minute class, and I looked up at him and I'm like, thank you. Because I just needed that. Like he knew it, he could see it. And sometimes you can't see it.
Right.
And,
right.
Your partner is there, to help you in life. He's not just there to, hey, hang out and, whatever. So he could sense it and was like, go on the bike for 20 minutes. He's like, just clear your mind. And it did. And it helped. But it was also nice that I had that, like he was able to see that and just push me in that direction.
I didn't want to deal with it either, Jonathan.
Oh, you know what happens if that decompression doesn't if that doesn't take place, then it has the opposite effect. And, we don't want to be on the other side of that either. Yeah. So
a lot of people aren't honest about it though.
Truthfully. That's what it is right there, and I want to take it back to one thing that you guys had both said is, And Sia, you really brought this point home of being a mom first. You know, I always say I'm a dad first as well. And you guys are so family oriented. I mean, I've heard Chris talk about his family. Sia, you're always taking care of everybody around you. I mean, always. That family environment, you guys definitely carry that forward to the business. And it's how we navigate those together. So you guys being able to support that and see that, how grateful and how beautiful it is to have someone that recognizes that and provides that space. Thank you for sharing that, because that's really what this is about. So over the past 2 years, what are some of the things, you were talking about, there's all these topics, right, that people bring forward. And a lot of it is with relationships and, family challenges and things like that. And a lot of beautiful things also. I know I hear about all the joys and the celebrations and the kids and all of that, though we've had a really interesting past couple of years. What year is it? I don't even know.
I know.
It's so weird. So weird. And you brought up something about that it seems like anxiety has been increasing more and more as a collective. And it's interesting when you said that, because I had a conversation on Sunday night with my in-laws about, how I never really suffered from anxiety. And Chris, you were one of the first people that I shared something. You're like, dude, that's a panic attack. And I was like, what? I just went to a doctor. Remember that? I was like, I spent all this money getting all these tests done. And I tell you, you're like, dude, that's a panic attack.
Have a cocktail, John, relax.
Man, right?
I know exactly how you feel, because prior to COVID, it was like standard anxiety. Like, okay, I'm getting on a plane. Right. What if something happens to my kids while I'm gone? Like normal thoughts that create little anxiety.
Right.
I will say though, once COVID started, up until, I can honestly say, until July 27th of this year, my anxiety was horrible. When I mean horrible, it did create a big friction between us as a married couple, with work. I couldn't function properly. I'd be in the middle of a client and start having a panic attack and have to go in the back room, and I'd be crying and shaking because of it.
Yeah.
So I can completely understand how you were like, I never suffered anxiety before. How is this happening? And I'm going to probably say it had a lot to do with COVID, social media, the news. And that was only the topic of conversation that was happening, is everybody just kept talking and talking and talking about it. There was nothing else for them to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
I had, it's kind of funny that you're saying this. I had a rule that just had, I say whoever comes into the salon, I don't want to hear it. I really do. You know what? Because I call it vibrational anxiety.
Yeah.
You look at people and it's cell phones, it's iWatches, everything is connected, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can check your oxygen levels on your, on your watch. You can check your heart rhythm on your watch. You can, and when it becomes your daily basis, like your go-to. I'm watching TV, I'm watching these commercials that are coming up, and I with the iWatches, and everyone's looking on their watches and blah, blah, blah. People don't have time just to disconnect. Enjoy the silence, like they used to say, right?
Yeah.
Just disconnect. Yeah. I mean, that's the problem with today's world. We're connected in the wrong ways.
Right.
We're not connected in the right ways. Just go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Just sit down. Look at the whole family. They're all on their phones.
Yeah. You know what? I do.
Well,
and
I mean, we teach by example. I mean, if you got a mom and dad that are just sitting on their phones the whole time, what do you think the kids are going to do?
Absolutely.
That's just common sense. And I think a lot of today's problems are because of, listen, there's a plus and a minus with everything, right?
Absolutely.
But there has to be a balance.
So do you feel that the general consensus over the past several years that you've noticed an increase in general anxiety, depression, disconnection?
Yes.
Huge increase.
Yeah.
Huge.
Like noticeable
we as a society,
from.
Yeah. We as a society, we don't know how to speak to each other. right?
It's not the speaking. It's you're almost afraid to even say something because that person who is suffering from anxiety or suffering, and this is new to them. So they've never, again, like me, didn't suffer from anxiety. So this is new, or any signs of depression, they become easily offended. So it's like you almost can't even say anything anymore because this person is going to get upset. So it's even more difficult to talk about a subject because of that. You can't actually sit down and have a logical conversation anymore. Somebody's going to get offended with any topic. It could be work. It could be social media. It could be, chicken or beef. I mean, it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to get, super offended or, take it the wrong way instantly nowadays. So it's difficult. Have we seen more of it? Yes. But I feel slowly as things have started generally opening up again, and we're starting to get a little bit more, like the festivals were going on and, games are happening again. And it feels like there's a little bit of more normalcy coming through. So I'm hoping that'll decrease the amount of anxiety and depression.
This is where Sia and I, John, disagree with each other.
Why is it?
Okay.
I for me personally, I think it starts from the ground up.
How so?
Whatever you put in, you get out. Just common sense, right? There's no reason I need to be at the salon and I see an 8-year-old walking in with a cell phone. Why?
Yeah.
There is none. There's no logical reason for a child to be exposed to that at that early of an age. The creativity part is what we're lacking with this younger generation. Right. And I see it. And a lot of that's our fault. I'm not going to blame the kids. I can't blame the kids. Right. In my generation, we had Teddy Ruxpin. Right. It's like, I don't want to read to the kid. Here's a bear, put a tape in the back of it and let him talk.
Yeah,
go ahead.
What's interesting is that, in our generation, right, we were one of the first generations to be latchkey kids. Yep. And now we're taking it to the next level of where the complete disconnection of where it's like we're craving connection, right? Because that's the one thing that we're lacking as a society is connection, yet we're looking to all of the things outside of ourselves. We're externalizing our experience of trying to create connection rather than initiate it from our heart space, like you said, from a grassroots level.
But here's my, okay, somebody may not like this statement, and so I will apologize. I didn't even know what a latch and key child or kid, whatever you guys just called it, was until recently. Chris mentioned it and I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, you had a key to get it home. I'm like, why? He's like, because our parents are working, yada yada yada, which, okay, that makes sense. I can't see that. Like for me personally. Now for other people, it's completely up. My life isn't based on where I want to be in my career. Mm-hmm. My life is where I'm going to get my kids in life. So when I said earlier, I'm a mom first, then I'm a hairstylist. Yeah, I'm a mom full time. I'm at the salon only a couple days a week. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a priority because it's our business.
Yeah, you're also blessed though that you can do that.
Yes, I get that. Yeah. But my kids are like, they're my world.
Yeah, and that shows.
I've left work in the middle. I've left with a client sitting in my chair going, hold on, I have to go do something. Or you know what, I'm going to let so-and-so finish because I have to go. Mm-hmm.
Where I think too, John, that I call not Sia, but I call a lot of these people, especially with these new employees that, come in for interviews and stuff like that. And I sit down with the parents too. It's kind of funny because they'll come in and they'll do their parents' hair and we'll sit and we'll talk. And the one thing that I've noticed about today's generation, like us parents, a lot of us, I call them snowplow parents.
You call me that.
Okay. So, true story. So what the problem is too, is we try to plow all the scenarios away from our children. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Like we want them to walk on this really clear, safe path. But that has a flip side to it, right?
It does. I've been guilty of that myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've been guilty of that. So I'm not just saying Sia, but I'm just saying people as a whole, like our generation.
Totally. We want to protect them to where they don't have the skills and the resources to be able to navigate it themselves.
Correct. And that can become an issue.
Totally.
Right. So, I mean, different scenarios for different people, but I don't know about you, but my parents didn't do that.
No.
My dad was working. My mom was working. I came home, like you said, latchkey kid. I had to, the garage door didn't open. I didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out, right?
Absolutely.
Totally. I had to climb through a window or something. Trying to figure what's up.
How the hell did you get in the house?
Today, I think they'd be right.
Although we've had that problem where the power has gone out and Alexia's like, I don't know how to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I know. I have that one too. It's such a different, it's a different world. And it's really interesting because it's two different types of problem solving tactics.
Right.
And how do we merge that, that's a really good.
At it. When you were 20 versus when your daughter was 20.
Yeah.
Correct. Same thing when I look at, our daughter. I'm like, okay, at 20, I was doing this. I'm like, huh? I'm like, right. And I love her to death, and she's extremely intelligent. And then there's at times that I look at her, I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what world are we living in right now? Where am I?
But then, our parents can say the same thing. Well, when I was 20 versus when you were 20. So each generation has their own differences, but I feel like Chris was saying earlier, there's a big lack. Like their social skills are lacking, their creativity, their empathy. They don't get it. They don't get it like we did. And we had to grow up fast. I feel like our generation grew up really fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. So one of the questions that I ask every guest that comes on, it's kind of the staple of the show, is how do you feel that we can support a more sustainable and harmonious co-creation for all? How can we consciously evolve and be better stewards for our planet? What is it that you feel that we can do as a society to push forward through this?
Actually, a couple of things. And I can attest to it and say social media is get away from it.
Yeah.
I cut off my Facebook over a year ago, and it's probably the best decision I ever made. Neither one of my children are on social media, not because I haven't allowed them to be, but because they've chosen not to be. I also feel like getting more involved with your community, find something that to just be involved in, to grow as a person, to learn about things that you didn't think you would learn. Whether, creating a hobby or
be curious
a club or, a book club or a science club, whatever. I mean, there's so many various things to partake in. Your local pantry or an organization, something to get involved in. I think at that point, then you start to grow as a person and you start to learn and see things that the world kind of sheltered you out of.
John, you know what somebody told me one time?
What's that?
Not somebody that told me, but I was listening to this one monk, and he made a really cool statement. He goes, do you know why God put eyes in front of your face? To see other people's problems, not your own. Because the only way you could see your problems, in theory, let's say you had a smudge on your face, you can't see it, right? You'd have to go in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that looks back at you. Right? So having these eyes in front of you and basically wearing your servant's towel and helping people is what we're here for. Bottom line. And end of discussion.
Yes.
And that's just the way it should be. If we start realizing why those eyes are placed where they were or where they are, this world would completely change.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. So we're of service to what's in front of us.
Correct.
And serving the community and the collective, because when we take care of others, we're also serving ourselves.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
And not only that, and that's for everybody, right? That's for you looking at me, right? Or me looking at you. With Sia, when she had that anxiety, I was looking at her. She didn't see herself. So it made sense to me. And I think that's just the way it goes. I think just being people that are empathetic towards each other when they see people that need something speaks volumes. And I think that's something that we need to all learn,
we do have to utilize our voice. We do have to reach out. We do have to connect with others and let them know that we see them. You know, we see their heart, we see their soul, we see their struggle, we see their experience. We see them for the human that they are, not for the things that they're doing or the trophies they have on the shelf or all the money that they have. Seeing them as a real human being and having a human experience and connecting with them there, and that's the connection that that you guys were sharing that we are lacking. So having somebody else say, "Hey, I see you. I see your struggle. How can we navigate through this together? I got you."
Yep.
And that's what I feel that we're missing now, because it's all about pointing fingers to everybody else and not really looking at them and saying, you know what, we got this. We're better together.
By pointing finger, you know what I mean? Like pointing fingers and not really caring what the other person thinks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, by pointing fingers instead of reaching out and giving a hug.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
You know, it's really awesome because I love that you guys are of service and both of you are actively involved in the community. Do you want to share, some of the organizations that you're involved in and what you do to give back to the community?
Yeah, so we host a golf outing every year for the Autism Society of Southeastern Wisconsin. And we got involved with them. Our son was diagnosed at the age of 3. So, when that kind of hits you, you really don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking questions, you're trying to read up on a lot of books and it wasn't as common as it is now. And there weren't a lot of support groups and, there wasn't much out there for us to really navigate through his diagnosis. And we came across the Autism Society and we learned that there was this amazing group that was there, not only to support you, but they had other activities among the way. So we got involved and now we host a golf outing every year to help fund them. And it's from the early diagnosis into adulthood. So they have various activities. They have social meetings. They have a swim thing where they do with cool waters. They have job training, and they have like adult social night, so it's such a great community. So obviously our heart belongs there.
Love that.
So every year we host a golf outing.
And we've raised up to $110,000, mind you. Thank you to all of our clients and, that made that possible.
So all our clients
Absolutely.
come out, sponsorships. It's amazing and it's fun. We host it once a year. For next year, it's on Saturday, June 25th. We host it at the Broadlands. So we have raffle prizes, we have putting contests, we have 50-50. We have a dinner, you get, a lunch ticket and a couple of drink tickets with your, price of admission. But it's great. It's so much fun. And we raise a lot of money in the process. And then we choose a family every year and we help them out financially from the golf outing as well. So the Autism Society gets a profit, and then the family that we choose also gets a profit. And we help them,
awesome.
Whether it's, therapy needs or bills, we help them along the way.
And, that's kind of the other piece that goes back to giving back, right?
Yep.
Of being of service, not just within our family, but how can we extend that reach? And you guys are so active with that. Yeah.
It's not being, Autism Speaks is a great foundation, but they do more of a research thing where the Autism Society actually reaches out to families, and families can come in and there's a library and there's somebody they can talk to, whether they need assistance with an IEP, which is an individual educational program that's set up through the school for their child. So there's counselors, there's a lot of resources to be used. So that funding stays there to allow these resources to be brought to our community.
And that's awesome because it keeps it local here.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's so important because, a lot of the organizations that are out there, and thank God that they're out there. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
To have something local to where those resources and the funding and the outreach and all of that stays here. So that it's being available for our local community to be able to benefit from that.
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so you said, when was that event again? So we can have our listeners be aware of that.
Sure. It's Saturday, June 25th, 2022. That's crazy to say.
I know, isn't it?
It's on a Saturday. So we will start putting that on our website sometime in February or March.
Okay.
And you'll have more information on there. But, if they need more information as the time goes on, the Autism Society of Southeastern Wisconsin, they have a website, and you can, if you want to donate or get involved or see what other organizations are linked with them, that would be a great resource too.
Perfect. And I'll include those websites and the resources both at the end of the podcast and also in all of the material that we put out there written. So the links will be out there for everyone to check out along with their website as well, along with Chris and Sia's website for the Hive Salon. And then just to wrap a few things up here for you, I know that you and I have also discussed about possibly starting a podcast and getting involved. You want to tell us a little bit about that and what potential plans might be if you're still going to be moving forward with that?
We've been throwing this in the air for I don't know, I want to say a couple of years. And, I always just thought it'd be fun,
Yeah.
Kind of like I said, at the salon, it's coffee time. You can come in, we can discuss and talk, and there's no judgment. It's just a free for all conversation, just having fun. Like how him and I just sit around and, we'll say
basically it's
all day.
Yeah. It's bringing the conversational pieces from the salon onto the mic. So I had a buddy of mine whose father, we were talking about servant's towel, right? Prior. Mm-hmm. I had a buddy of mine, his dad passed away about 2 weeks ago. And I just called him, just to see how he's doing. And, and we were just talking about life and what's important and blah, blah, blah. And he donates to the golf outing every year. And we're just talking about things that we tend not to look at because our lives are so busy. He said he was going through a TikTok and he saw this child that was autistic and he had a birthday party. I think I told you this. Did I tell you this one?
Yeah. Or no, his dad asked him what he wanted for his birthday.
Yeah. His dad asked him what he wanted for his birthday. And the little boy, and my buddy's telling me this right now. Mm-hmm. He said the first one was like a gift, right?
Yeah.
That he wanted some kind of toy. And then the other thing that he wanted was, he said, I just want a friend. That's it. And my buddy who lost his dad, he goes, dude, I just lost it. He goes, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That companionship, that connection.
And for a child with an issue or some kind of, special need to just come out and say things that we don't say sometimes is big. And that was one of the reasons why Sia and I started I know we talked about the Autism Society of Southeastern Wisconsin, but we're trying to bind the Best Buddy. Have you heard of Best Buddies?
I have. Yeah. My son was involved in that during middle school.
Yeah. So, and our daughter's doing that over at Concordia University in Wisconsin too. So she's part of that as well. We're trying, what we want to do is we want to bring the organizations together, which we're working on with two of their big wigs over there to combine Best Buddies with the autism program together.
That would be incredible.
So that's something that Sia's doing. She's going to be following up doing probably within the year?
Yeah.
About the year.
Sorry, that's just a touchy subject for me.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, I think after he told me that, I just felt like that's not only somebody with special needs. I think that's all of us.
It is all of us.
You know, and that's a common theme, I think, behind my chair, is we all have issues. right?
Totally.
The only thing that makes it different is how we handle the scenario, right? So, and who we have in our lives at the end of the day. So I think it's very important to just to be human and to really understand the meaning of life, which I think a lot of times with what's going on today with, computers and social media, and a lot of people don't know that. And they're, it's going to be too late, I think, when they figure it out. I think this generation with their telephones and all this other stuff, they don't have the empathy because they're always behind some kind of electronic. And when one of their spouses or one of their, family members does happen to pass, I think they're going to sit back and they might realize and say, what did I do? I could have talked to my grandparents. I could, you know what I mean? I should have spent more time with my mom, my dad. I think it's going to be a rude awakening for this generation.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that is common when a person is close to transitioning over to, the next part is, and they ask, what did you wish that you had done, or so on and so forth. And it's typically, I wish I had spent more time with so-and-so. I wish I had greater connection with this, right. And you're absolutely right. When so much time and emphasis is placed on technology or things in front of us, we miss what's inside of us. Correct. We miss that connection. We miss that empathy that, you've kind of driven home of where, that seems to be missing. There's not an app for that. Correct. And, thank you guys for bringing that part home, and all that you guys are of service to, with the Autism Society, with Best Buddies, and providing an example for your children as well, because that's where it begins. It begins with what's right in front of us, and being an example for our children, being the torch to show them, hey, we got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care of those that are in front of us. We got to take care of our community. And that's how we make an impact in this world.
Correct.
Yep.
And
use your eyes. Use your eyes.
Use your eyes. I love that. So, Sia, Chris, is there anything else that you guys would like to share with our listeners? Tell us about your business, any future plans, any last words or insights for everybody?
Future plans for the business as of right now, no. I think we're good. You
guys just went through
we just went through craziness right now. So I'm trying to keep the waters calm.
Just be kind to one another.
Yeah, just be kind. Take a look at the world around you. And like Chris said, use your eyes to see what's in front of you, not just about you.
Yeah.
It's a big world out there, and there's a lot that we don't know, and there's a lot that we will still learn as we get older, and we will have roadblocks, and we just have to learn how to detour them. But at the same time, just be a good person.
Yeah. Be a good human. And I love what you just said, is basically be curious.
Yeah. Don't think you know everything, because we don't.
Put the remote down, go make a change.
Yes. Well, guys, as always, I love talking with you. I love everything that you guys are up to. I love how you guys navigate through your challenges and you keep it real. One word that really resonates with me for both of you is authenticity. You guys definitely keep it real, and you provide that space for everybody that comes to sit in your chair, that comes and has a conversation with you. I know everybody that's listening to this is going to feel that as well. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I'm just going to share for everybody that is here in Wisconsin, outside of the general Milwaukee area, Hive Salon Brookfield.com. That's Hive Salon brookfield.com. Definitely check out their website. If you're looking for a new place to get the most up-to-date style, you're looking to get beautified, look good, feel good, and have great conversation, maybe have a drink or some coffee and just relax, kick back and look at some incredible artwork, then definitely check them out. And that, if there's a point that can drive home, be a good human, be engaged in the experience, and let that just be your navigation system. Keep your eyes open and see what's in front of you. And thank you so much. Those are words that are going to sit with me and our audience for time to come. The Autism Society of Southeastern Wisconsin website is www.assew.org. That's assew.org. Become familiar with them. You can donate on there. Stay connected with the Hive Salon or hivesalonbrookfield.com. They will be posting information on there as time comes closer. Also, their Instagram is Hive Salon Brookfield. Hive Salon Brookfield on Instagram. Stay connected. Again, thank you guys for joining us here on Reverberations. As always, it's a pleasure. Love you guys and have an amazing
God bless.
Thank you. We got to do this again.
Yes, please. We'll make sure to have that. We'll have part 2.
We'll have a part 2. Awesome. Have a good one.
Thank you all once again for tuning in to another episode of Reverberations. Truly is just an incredible experience to share this time and space with you. To be able to share what is on my heart, to be able to share guests that are passionate, that are intentional, that operate with integrity and are of service to humanity, to all in creation. So if anything in this podcast or any of the previous episodes inspired you, touched you, moved you, share this with your social media, share it with your friends. Let's reverberate and spread the love. This is how we can co-create a more sustainable and harmonious coexistence with all in creation. Let's amplify our love. And remember, we are better together. Have an amazing day.
Seeking beyond, trying to find the way out of the dark into the light.